Right, here we are continuing our lecture on Into the Great Wide Open by Tom Petty. I am Jason Grenier, Wu Xianfeng, English through Popular Culture. We've talked about the first two verses, we have talked about the chorus, and now we are on to the third verse. I will read it to you. The papers said Ed always played from the heart. He got an agent and a roadie named Bart. They made a record and it went in the charts. The sky was the limit. So as I have been doing so far, I will again ask you to think now for a moment, what do you think is happening in this song and in our story arc, the movement of the story from the beginning? We're into the middle now. So what do you think is happening here with Eddie and his girlfriend? We'll take it line by line here. Nice and logical. The papers said Ed always played from the heart. All right. Well, this tells us we know from the heart means sincere. And if the papers, this means the newspapers. Papers here means newspapers. So who writes about music in the newspapers? Well, these are music critics. And the music critics say Ed always plays from the heart. So this means the critics are impressed, right? So we'd say he's getting good reviews, great reviews, positive reviews from music critics. Music critics are people who write about artists and their repertoire, right? Evaluate albums, singles, whatever, in the media, which is a good thing, key to success for a wannabe aspiring musician. He got an agent and a roadie named Bart. Well, if you get an agent, this means you need an agent. This means you're getting paid money to play music and the business is starting to take up a lot of time and energy. You get a roadie. A roadie, remember, is somebody who carries your instruments and sets up. So if you, as a musician, once you have an agent, like a manager, right, and you get a roadie, somebody to carry your guitars and set them up and tune them and change the strings and do all that for you. You don't need to do all that stuff anymore. This is all indicators here that you've made it. We say that, you've made it. It means you're a success. Right? We put it all together. Good reviews from the critics. You get an agent, you get a roadie, you're making money. Yeah, don't need to carry your own equipment anymore. So this shows us success. So we go back, right? We started in the beginning here. We had this desire, this dream, a dream postponed. You have to wait till high school finishes, till you're ready. Go out there, start this new life. It's like a quest, like a mission, right? Chasing a dream. Meet someone who understands you, thinks the same way as you, relates to you. Meet someone important like this on the way. You can help each other. Chasing that dream, you're struggling here. It's a money struggle and a talent struggle, starting from zero, right? And needing money, have to work to fuel that dream. But there's all these possibilities. Right? Now we're starting to see success. They made a record. This means they recorded an album, right? And it went in the charts. Well, this means they're selling a lot of records, right? They have a hit record. And of course, hit record means fame. And of course, hit record means money for Ed. So this whole chapter, this is all about success. And the sky's the limit. It means there's no limit to where this success will stop, right? There's no limit to how successful. All right. So here we see the story arc, beginning with a dream and a quest, going out into the world, moving to a new location, struggling, and now we see success on this quest. What a great story we've got going here. Let's move on to the next verse. His leather jacket had chains that would jingle. They both met movie stars, partied and mingled. Their A&R men said, "I don't hear a single." The future was wide open. Now this is the last verse in this great 4-verse story here. His leather jacket had chains that would jingle. Not super important as these lines go compared to the other ones, but I think the leather jacket is a symbol of that rock star image, right? With chains on it, leather jacket, chains, the tattoo. He's got the rocker thing going on, right? These are symbols of his status his identity, we could call it, right? As a musician, a popular, successful musician, right? Walking the walk, talking the talk, dressing the part, leather jacket, the chains, the tattoo, he's got it all. They both met movie stars. Now we know both of them, this is Eddie and his girlfriend. We never know her name, unfortunately, but that's okay. They both met movie stars, partied and mingled. Now we know they're out in Hollywood, right? They're meeting famous people because they are famous people now. They're partying, they're mingling, talking to all these people. What do you think this means? What do you think's happening with their life? Sounds happy enough, but I think a lot of us, when we think about the whole celebrity lifestyle, think about those Hollywood parties, those LA parties, New York parties, whatever. The partying with the famous, the rich and the famous. It's not. I think we're thinking a lot. It's basically sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That's what we talk about. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. They go hand in hand. That lifestyle. We could throw alcohol in there. Of course, ethanol, alcohol is a drug. But it looks like this kind of lifestyle. We call it decadent. Right? A lot of you know that song Hotel California, and a lot of you, I'm sure, have thought about that song and understand that a lot of it is about this decadence of the music industry, right? The whole pursuit of pleasure, we could call it that. We call it that. We call it hedonism. It means the same thing, just chasing pleasure, trying to feel good. And a lot of people fall into this trap as they chase fame. We look at cases like who would stand out from recent years. Amy Winehouse basically drank herself to death at a very young age. Justin Bieber, some of you may be fans, he had some trouble. He seems to have straightened himself out. He got married and he's been out of the media for the most part, but he went through a period where I think he was doing too much partying and being influenced by people around him. And he had scandals and whatever. Miley Cyrus, I think, went through something serious, similar. It happens to a lot of people when they get out there and fall into these movie star, celebrity, social circles, the party scene, the late nights, and everything that goes along with it. So what can happen here? Well, they both met movie stars. Now maybe they meet them together, but maybe it means that they found other people. Maybe Ed met a movie star, and maybe his girlfriend met a movie star, and maybe this would break them up. Don't know, but it's something to think about. I think the point here is this last line. This is where the trouble comes in. Everything's pretty happy until this point. There's some struggle for money, but when we get here, their A&R man said, I don't hear a single. Now, we know the A&R man at the record company is the one who makes decisions about what songs will be included on albums, when albums will be released, if albums will be released at all. These kinds of artistic decisions and commercial decisions about what will sell, what does the public want. The A&R department makes this. Now their A&R man, Eddie's A&R man says, I don't hear a single. A single is a hit record. It's a song from a record that tops the charts, right? Or makes it to the charts. And their A&R man says, I don't hear one. So what this means is that the music that Ed is making now is not, his record company is not happy. Ed's record company is not happy or impressed with the music he's making. For whatever reason, I don't hear a single means I don't hear anything in your music that the public is going to want. We're not going to sell a lot of records if you make music like this. So this part here, this is where the bad news comes into it. The future was wide open. Well, before, this meant that there's no limits to how successful Ed can be. But now, this means the future is in doubt. Right? Now we don't know what's going to happen. Things were going so well, but maybe it's a case of too much partying, too much of the party scene, losing focus. Maybe that's it. Maybe all this hedonism, this decadence, party scene, late nights, all of it. Maybe Ed is losing focus. and maybe losing focus on his girl. Maybe, because this line, like I said, about they both met movie stars. Maybe they meet them together and just socially, but maybe they have affairs, meet other people, whatever. Anyway, the point of this is that the future is in doubt now. Everything looked so bright up here, success, and now we get to a point where there's doubt introduced into the story. Don't know. And that's where the song ends. That's the frustrating part. Now, into the great wide open, under them skies of blue, out in the great wide open, a rebel without a clue, and it just fades out like this with some killer guitar soloing from Mike Campbell, which you gotta listen to also. But we don't know how the story ends. This I think is a play on words, because it suggests that there's vast possibilities, like as wide as the sky, anything could happen. But I also think that it means that the story, the ending, is wide open, because we don't know what's gonna happen. It was such a great story. It had a beginning, it had a middle, and now we're close to the end, but we don't know the end. Tom Petty doesn't tell us what the end is, so we need to think about that for ourselves. I'm going to stop this lecture right here. We're going to come back and have one more part to it. Please make sure you watch it.